Hey, good evening. Hey, this is Pago from Connecticut. I'm realtor for Connecticut. This is bedtime real estate, and tonight we're going to cover a great subject. We're going to cover fix it and flip it. It's going to be a house flipping guide. No, we're going to have an excellent speaker tonight. Her name is Sabrina Johnson. She is based out of South Carolina. She's a realtor there, very experienced realtor, but as you become versed in real estate, you start to dabble in different things. And one thing she's dabbled in is, fixing houses and selling for top dollar. So I decided to have her come on here so that she can share her experience and kind of give us some insights on how to properly flip a house and how to kind of, make the best investment and get the most out of it. So let me introduce Sabrina here. You can add her on. Hey, Sabrina, what's going on?
I'm good. Good. Everything's going great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Thank you for coming on Bedtime Real Estate. I know you're probably asleep by this time.
Yes, I am usually.
Yeah, most people with kids are probably asleep by this time. My wife is struggling with the kids right now, trying to get them to bed. So if you hear screams, it's because waning down to go to sleep.
Right.
But no. But we're here tonight though because you have experience. So I want to just tell about yourself a little bit, like kind of what you do, what's your career, what's going on.
Okay, so I started real estate about 6 years ago. I started in Washington State, and we got stationed over here in South Carolina. I loved it so much, I decided to keep my license and get my license in South Carolina. So I do a lot of military, a lot of first-time home buyers, a lot of sellers. I do everything. And then I recently just got into my first flip house. So it's something I've always wanted to do, and decided to just kind of take a dive for it and do it. So that's pretty much about me. I mean, it's real estate, and I love it. Um, it's just what I love. So
All right. She's being modest though. She has a keen eye for definitely detailing the homes and kind of, definitely a particular stage of homes preparing it for sale. And she's also, she's part of Keller Williams, and somehow many people are also investor minded, a little pitch for KW because, that's what they're focused on. They're focused on, being a top realtors in addition to focus on being investors too, because, that's part of real estate and building wealth. So now our subject is about flipping and flipping houses. There's a lot of stuff going on right now in terms of like what HGTV and what's available on there, what people see. And people usually see like these big gut jobs, seeing like these people with the big hammers, breaking everything down, breaking the kitchen down, stuff like that. And based on your experience and like as a realtor and also as a flipper, like do you necessarily have to do that?
no, you don't. Absolutely not. So a lot of times, if you can just find a home that just needs cosmetic work, you could do that. I mean, it doesn't have to be a total gut job. One of my favorite things actually is to just kind of get a house that needs cosmetic repairs, but everything else is good to go. You can even do, like, it doesn't have to be a quick flip and fix. It can be you live in it and fix it up. I've done that personally. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, it doesn't have to be major stuff where you're taking out walls, because you see that on HGTV. They're taking out walls and adding additions and just doing a lot of stuff. You don't have to do that. It can be a lot easier than that, just doing cosmetic repairs. And yeah, it's a lot easier to do it that way.
And I think you brought up some great things there. You talk about like different strategies in terms of flipping, right? Now, most common thing is like, all right, let me maybe put money by myself, or maybe pulling money from other people, and let me try to buy this properly, then flip it. But a lot of people are missing the fact that you can actually flip your own house. Many people can do that too. Like you buy your house, buy in like on a low amount, maybe 3.5%. maybe 1% when you have an amazing deal or something like that. Then you can gradually build and then renovate your house over time. Then next time flipping the house and make some money and go to a bigger property later.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, so if you could get a house with financing, USDA, FHA, VA, whatever it is you choose to use, it's a lot easier to live in the house and fix it as you go, and you're not going to really have those major, concerns or major ticket items in those homes that will actually go for financing. Of course, we have to be careful because, like, um, if you do a VA loan, like, you have to live in it for the first year and, stuff like that. We also have to be careful of capital gains. So for the, living in it and fixing it up and then flipping it, that's kind of more of a long term, like, you're going to want to do it for about two years.
Yep.
So then you're not paying those capital gains on it. Not every flip is going to be like that. Some are going to be quick, flips where you do pay the capital gains. It's just,
Yep.
I think it's specific to the property and what kind of financing you have. So,
Yep. And that's some great points. And people obviously kind of see the benefits of the flipping. First thing people think is like the quick profits. You buy a house, you own it for about 3 to 6 months, then quickly you can flip it, make a quick 20, 30, 50, 100 grand if you're doing luxury, or 100 plus grand if you're doing luxury. And people see the quick profits. And you brought a good point with the capital gains in terms of like selling before the 2 years and realizing that that's one thing you can't run away from: taxes.
mhm. Right. Yeah.
uh, and some other things that people can see are the benefits for flipping is that control. So you brought up the fact that like you could decide what projects you can and then will do. So you can decide whether to renovate or reconstruct your whole kitchen, or just take pieces there and readjust it, paint, or kind of use cabinets. That if you can use cabinets, repaint them, things like that.
Mhm.
Having that control is a big benefit as an investment, because you can control how much you want to put in to control the cost and how much you get out in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and everything, that's everything that you need to consider when you're looking at a property. You need to know, like, okay, how much are cabinets going to cost me? How much is it going to do to redo the entire kitchen, cabinets, countertops, the bathrooms? Like, you have to have a good idea of what it is that it's going to cost you. And not only just the cosmetic stuff, but the stuff that you can't see, like, it doesn't have foundation issues, doesn't need a new roof. So that's all stuff that you need to consider when you're looking for a property. Um, yeah.
Okay. And some of the things that you do gradually get over time, you definitely get the market knowledge. As you work as a flipper locally, you have to know what's going on, on locally, and then to find out the local trends of what's selling, what's not selling, what trends are selling in your area. In addition to, as you do more and more flips, I imagine that you have to build more and more relationships with contractors. And
Mhm.
also, if you're not a realtor, realtors in the area, so you can try to either negotiate the best contract again with the realtor, or also negotiate, find the best contractors, find you the best bang for your buck too.
Yeah, so making sure that you have a realtor that knows the market, knows what's going on, they can quickly give you like an AVR, like the after value renovation. Like, they need to know that kind of stuff. They should be able to run the comps and be like, okay, this is what you could buy it for, and this is what you could sell it for. It's going to need, you know, a certain amount of work, $30,000 worth of renovations. Yeah, your realtor needs to know the markets and what's going on with that. Yeah.
So, everybody, always glosses over, especially on like Instagram, TikTok, all these social media platforms, on like all the benefits, all the money you can make in flipping. Now, like think about the drawbacks. I think one of the biggest things that people forget is probably holding costs. Holding costs is probably one of the things that people forget about. Like, they forget that, you have to pay utilities, you
Mhm.
have to carry a mortgage. Yeah, maybe you're using hard money lender, you have to carry all these fees, and the longer you hold the property, the more less money you make over time.
Yes. Yeah, that's a huge one that people don't think about. I mean, you have to have insurance. Like, you can't
Yep.
close on a house until you have, insurance on the home. So that's all stuff that it needs to be factored into your budget. Um, and I think you need to have a buffer. Like, you can plan for a 3-month flip, but you may want to add a buffer to that, another 6 to 8 weeks to it just to be prepared. Um, because the holding costs, it can add up, and depending on what loan you're using, like you said, the hard money loan, that depending on who you're using and what company, that can like increase over time. So it's just stuff that you need to be aware of, be prepared for, and have those buffers.
Yeah, and right now in this market, it's a heavy seller's market. So, like if you're able to fix and flip, you'll probably make a great return. But like 2008, like it's still in the back of most people's minds. Like those who are the older millennials, like when they graduated 2008, looking for a job was difficult time right at that time. And just like market downturn is something that people don't expect, and people you can't predict at all. So you kind of have to hedge some funds there to kind of figure out, I would say, other options for the property if it doesn't sell. Like for example, you know, how much is it going to rent for? Can you Airbnb it? Like,
Mhm.
can I live in it? So these things you have to kind of think of it like in terms of like if this thing doesn't sell, what's the next plan? Because most of the time people only have one plan for a certain project, and what ends up happening is that if that plan doesn't work out, then you're going to be out of luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's something I think when you're, looking at a property, that's something to consider. Can you rent it? Can you, does the neighborhood allow you to do an Airbnb in it? Are there any restrictions on it? So that's all stuff that, I mean, so with flipping, I think it's a lot of homework up front to make
Yeah.
sure that the rest of it goes smoothly, or at least as smoothly as possible. I mean, you're going to find stuff that you didn't expect. I mean, that's just a given. And so making sure that you're prepared for those bumps in the road and figuring out how to problem solve them in the right way, you know. So
And so, no, that's some good points. And I would say the last thing would probably people don't realize the time commitment. Now, whether you're doing the fixes yourself and whether you're doing the fixes with other people doing the fixes, like either you have to manage your own time to do the work or you have to manage others. And either way, it takes time, because like that's one thing that people forget. Like, you know, you, like if you're doing this as a part-time thing, like you have to realize that you have to split some time for it and plan ahead and make sure you have enough time ample for it.
yeah, so like even if you have decided that you're going to hire everything out, and which a lot of people do, you still have to manage that. You still need to be there, making sure that people are showing up on time, doing what they say they're going to do, doing what you're paying them to do. There's still a huge management piece to it. You need to have good leadership skills. Um, and because you're organizing all these different trades to come in and do different stuff, sometimes it's at the exact same time, sometimes you can't be there because, yeah, if you're doing it part-time, so you have to figure out a plan. You got to, to make sure that you know what's going on in your house and that they're there and they're doing what they say they're going to do, while still maybe not being on site. So that's all things to consider and to think about. I definitely know with this first one that I've done, um, you almost can't prepare enough, and I thought that I had, um, but it's been fun because if you like problem solving, um, you're gonna get it. You're gonna run into stuff like that. If you, I mean, it's gonna test your stress levels a lot. And so people that function at a high level under stress, they'll do really well with it. So some of this stuff is coming from me, my first flip, and what I've learned as as I go on. So
So let's take for example, right? So we're looking into flip our first house, right? So looking to flip our first house, and we're trying to figure out like what home to buy. Like what do you think are kind of like the first steps? What were the first steps that kind of you took in terms of like kind of picking the house and picking the property, picking the area, and like what were kind of like the first steps to get into it in terms of, and also kind of figuring out like how much are you going to be able to sell it for after, also known as active repair value or ARV.
yeah. So, and I may have said that wrong earlier. I apologize for that. It's been a long day. But so yeah, there's a lot of things that I factored in on the house that I wanted. It had to be in a certain area. So I didn't want it to be like out in the country. I wanted it to be in North Charleston where it's, the hustle and bustle and things are moving fast. More people want to live closer to town. So that was a big thing for me. I wanted something that wasn't huge. I didn't want a huge house to renovate or to, um, the square footage needed to be right. It needed to be on the smaller side. 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Um, the neighborhood, I wanted it to be, like I said earlier, close to shopping, close to restaurants, um, and family friendly. Like I'm not going to go try to flip a house in a 55 and older community. That doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that those were all and I needed something that I knew wasn't going to require a ton of, it was going to be more cosmetic stuff than anything else. That's what I looked for. And so when I did my showing for that particular property, I was watching and looking at everything to make sure it wasn't a house that was going to need a new roof or a house that, had some foundation issues. Um, and a lot of times, the way to get through that period is to get permission from the listing agent, well, it's from the seller, saying, that you can take an inspector in with you. And yeah, you may not have like a full inspection done during a showing, but they can at least look at the major ticket items and say, okay, you know, there's nothing, of significance here. I'm seeing that maybe there's like $2,000 or $3,000 worth of work to do on major items, like maybe a new, I don't know, HVAC or something like that. Um, but if and then or they're going to find that there is foundation issues and it's not something you want to mess with. So just having permission from the seller to bring an inspector in to just do a quick glance, make sure it's nothing major is really a good idea. Um, I would highly recommend doing that.
And that's a good point. Like even if you might be able to get an inspector in there, but the listing agent or seller, they may allow a contractor there.
Well, that's true.
So
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an inspector, but someone that has knowledge of that area, just a general contractor that they kind of specialize in, all sorts of things and they can see stuff that, that regular people can't. So,
and some inspectors are also contractors. So
that's true. That's true. That's
after they have
true.
dual titles, you can use that, and that's fair game. I would say, they're not doing inspection there; they're not as inspector, but they're at their roles as a contractor. So,
Right.
no, that's it. That's a nice tip there. That like have that person there, and that's part of networking. So you're going to have to like reach out and meet these people and talk to them, and and you might have to pay them. You might have to give them a little money to go do that walkthrough with them. So you may have to walk through it once by yourself, then walk through it again with someone else, a second showing.
Right, exactly. And is a lot of times though it's gonna save you money in the long run to have that professional with you to make sure that you're not getting into to something, too much for you to handle, that's gonna blow the budget. So those were kind of all things that I looked for in a house. And when I was able to, I was like, okay, this is it. This is the one. This is, checks all the boxes. So that's what I personally looked for. And I mean, I had the budget in mind. I knew what I could turn around and sell it for once it was fixed. I knew a good estimate of what it was going to cost to get it where it
Yeah.
needed to be. Um, and again, you need a buffer for that as well. I mean, you can plan all day long for how much you want to put into it. Um, but sometimes there's things that you don't anticipate, so just having that buffer on the budget as well is important.
Okay. No, it's true. Having a little space to be able to take those expenses is important, and that kind of just jumps into like financing. So you finally pick the property. You walk through with your inspector or slash contractor in the property. Now you figure out like how much it's going to cost to fix. Now you have to figure out like, all right, if the house is listed for 300 and it's about $30,000 worth of repair. Now, determining the after repair value, like what were suggestions where you suggest like for someone to kind of help figure that out?
So, well, basically, you have to figure out what is it that needs to be done to the house that really, really matters.
Yeah.
Um, not so much what everybody wants, but what really, truly matters. Like nobody likes popcorn ceilings, right? But is it is it worth your time and money and effort to scrape popcorn ceilings? You know what I mean? So that's the
Yeah.
stuff that you got to kind of think about. And then as far as like, pricing it, you've got to run your comps. You have to know what the market is doing in that particular area. So that what, okay, if I get it up to these standards, what can I sell it for? Um, so yeah, those two things kind of go hand in hand. Like what absolutely needs to be done. Is it more important to scrape ceilings or replace windows?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you've got old
Yeah.
windows, wouldn't you replace that before you scrape popcorn ceilings? So just kind of like determining what is the most, what's the priority here,
Yeah.
and what
And
isn't so much.
again, those comps, like I talked about this last week, you have to understand like the three comps you have to get. You have to get, current sales, pending sales, and
Mm.
closed sales. These are things you have to look at to kind of collaborate, kind of figure out what price that you'll be able to sell that property. Realtors, we do all the time. That's why you got to reach out to a realtor, not
Mhm.
Zillow or some
Yes,
of the other Redfin and all these websites. Look at, you have to reach out to a realtor, a human being that be able to kind of look at the market and tell them the insights on it.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And once you figure out your ARV, like the next step will be, of course, the financing. Like, how are you going to pay for this?
Mhm.
If you're going to move into this flip and live in it, then financing will be quite easy, especially if this will be your first home. You can use first time a home buyer, like a low entry loans like a FHA, VA loan, things like that. But if it's like your second property and you already have your main property and this can be investment property, if you're using like regular conventional lending, you're gonna have to put in like more like 25-30%, depending what your record is in terms of as an investor. But then you can jump into some other type of financing where you can have hard money loans or even
Mhm.
private lenders. And a lot of people know like what hard money loans is. Hard money loans is people usually high interest and usually short-term loans. And the
Mhm.
private lenders, that could be anyone. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be like some big company somewhere you could borrow money. It can be like your uncle, your aunt, or whatever, whoever has access to money that you can use to lend back and lend from them. That could be a private lender.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of people that will invest in um, help you out in situations like that. It's just a matter of finding them and having that trust, that partnership trust. I mean, that's huge. And yeah, there's different options. It's just you got to find which one works for you in your situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, with the hard money lender, you gotta be careful because they have pretty strict deadlines. Especially if it's your first time, they're gonna be strict with you because,
Yeah, you have
they,
to prove to them that you can do it. And if you
yeah,
can't, you're not going to get another loan, right? Yeah.
And one thing I let people know is that, like, there's some people that have conventional financing in addition to hard money loans too. They have access to private lenders. So
Hmm.
don't feel like you have to just Google search everything and find like some random company that offer hard money loans. There's actually some still reputable companies that do it, so that you don't have to feel like you have to like go in the corner and sell a part of your body or something like that for this loan. Like you can actually just go to another, just ask for another product that they have.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There's so many options out there. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be, you know, crazy. So,
Yeah, that's true.
uh, yeah.
And once you get the financing, of course, you go out and you start shopping. You're shopping
Mhm.
for these different properties. Common things that people usually say is like distressed properties, foreclosure, and undervalued homes. I know that the market in South Carolina is different here, but like those properties are still going pretty quickly here. They're not having the long days on market, and people are still fighting for those properties here. But those usually are the properties that, and usually like in a normal balanced market or a buyer's market, you will look to try to fix and flip those properties.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and it depends. It is a little bit of a different market here. It depends, how much work it needs. I mean, those may end up, staying on market for quite a while. If it's just something cosmetic, you're probably going to be competing if it's at a lower, if it's 200,000 or 300,000. Do you know what I mean? Like it just
Yeah.
depends on, what the property looks like. Just yeah, just depends. So,
Yeah. And what I've seen sometimes with some properties is that, you might come across like homes that were two bedrooms, then they made them three,
mhm.
or there was no parking and somehow they made parking. Like there's one house that's still available in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and like there was no parking. Like I don't know how it is South Carolina. Like there's cone people here. Like there's people that put out cones, and God forbid you move their cone, they're gonna
Right.
go after you. Like that's like a thing that usually comes from New York, and people do it here just so like to protect the parking spot. So, but like because everything's kind of congested over here.
Yeah. No, we don't have that. We don't have that. But I mean, yeah, it just depends. It depends on the neighborhood. I mean, if it's closer to downtown, you're gonna probably run into that a little bit more than
Yeah.
the outskirts and suburbs of Charleston. So, yeah.
So I would say like once you do like obtain a property, you buy it. Like one thing that people forget is permits. Like what's your been experience in terms of like permits and kind of figuring out like how to get them, when to get them, like and like when should you get a permit? Like when does usually require? I know every state is different, but like how do you look at that?
Yeah, every state is different. And this is a really good question that I'm glad that you brought it up because before you even get into, under contract on something or you get into this, you really do need to contact your county and figure out, okay, what is it that they require, for me to get a permit? How long are those permits taking? Because some counties in different states are backed up 6 to 8 months. So
Hmm.
if you're waiting on a permit to do something and you have to wait that long, that's going to mess with your timeline. And so, and you need the permit. Like if your county requires you to have a permit, you need to get the permit.
Okay.
Um, and so but it needs to be factored into your timeline. And then that may deter you from certain homes. If you're like, okay, well, this one needs a new, front porch or something, but I know the county's not going to get out there for 6 months. That's going to delay stuff. Or you figure out a way to get that done first, get the permit done and go from there. It's just so I think checking with your county to see what those timelines are is crucial. Because
And
the county can, like, shut you down if they want to, and then when you have this house with a hard money loan and you can't work on it, like, that could be detrimental. So doing your homework on it
No, you'll
is
be surprised. Like, if you don't get the right permit, and sometimes you might get the right permit. Like, say for example, you cause problems for the next buyer. Like,
yeah,
yeah, so like there's no permit on this part, but then you got a proper permit on another part, then they prevent you from closing that permit until fixing out the problem. And,
exactly.
and cities do that because they know that they got the upper hand. Like you're gonna have to do it eventually at some point. And sometimes you're gonna have savvy buyers that do their proper due diligence. They're gonna check the city, see if things are open permits on a property. Then they're gonna say, hey, like what's going on here? Can you close these permits, please?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think the county does it. I mean, they're like, they want us to have safe homes, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's so important that they don't do it because they really just want us to be safe. So it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So I think it's good to, follow the rules and regulations of your community. So,
All right, so we talked about a lot of just talking about fixing and flipping. Let's take a look at an example here of
okay.
fixing and flipping. So we have a project here that Sabrina has worked on. So we're going to talk about this from like kind of like head to toe with all the pictures on it here.
Yeah. So this is one that I've done. It was people thought I was crazy when I wanted this house. They're they were like, it looks haunted, it looks crazy. Um, and I could just see the potential in it. I could, and I had to give it a shot. So this is what it looked like when I first bought it.
Yep.
And this is we painted the outside of it, replaced a bunch of the siding and the boarding that was rotten, brand new roof. But nothing else was changed. So one of the things about this particular house I wanted to do was I wanted to create, like, keep the original character of the home, but somehow add a modern touch to it as well. um, but I liked to try to keep it as traditional as possible. So this is
So
the front porch. Kind of
yep.
gives you a good idea of, the siding and, all that stuff. And so this is from a shot from the inside of the inside of the front porch.
I actually
So,
want to go back to the first picture to be honest.
okay.
Start kind of in the beginning because if we go back and we kind of looked at these two homes, look at this, look how this house presented. This is the first picture you will see on Zillow. Like, is
Mhm.
this something that attracts you as a buyer? You know, like one thing is like this house looks very dull. Like
Mhm.
if you go over to next photo, the next picture, next look how this house is like glistening. It's like, oh my gosh, look at this beautiful house.
Yeah.
Like, and a part of that too is like taking pictures at the right time, like with the
Yeah.
right lighting. Maybe some of the trees may be gone from here, but like the color of this home is, brings some more of the great values of the home out. If you
Yeah.
go back to the first slide here, is just like, this looks like movie from Jason. I'm sorry, it's like
It does.
it,
It
it
does.
looks like it looks like from a horror film. It's
Mhm.
like it looks like someone named Fred was living there, and he got a shotgun in the
Right?
house.
Yeah. It
Yeah, so
does.
it's
It's
like,
scary. Yeah.
so, and it's just like, this is an older photo when you initially bought it. What year was this?
This house was built in 89.
So it was built 89, but what year did you purchase it?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I bought it in 2023.
So 2023. So
Mhm.
she bought it in 2023 and it's 2024. Look how the difference. Like it's not
Mhm.
like she bought it from 2010. Like it's like 10 decades ago. This is just like 1 year ago she purchased this property. And it just like is night and day. And then you can see the basic things you can do. And the first thing you do is fix the outside of the house. Let's make it welcoming. So let's paint. Let's like, did you end up doing the roof or you did not do the roof on this property?
Yeah, they actually before I purchased it, they did do the roof. So that was I didn't have to do that personally. But yeah, it has a brand new roof on it. Yeah.
You see, and that's what's one thing that you may not renovate the whole kitchen or bathroom, but one thing is that you're renovating like something that there's a big cost to somebody. When realtors, when you're looking at first time home buyers, like, man, is there, how's the roof, how's the boiler, how is this, like, how is this, because like, is this going to cost my client 15 grand, 7 grand to fix? Now we go to the next page here. They see this house, very bright, nice colors, like it's not just like, and the way the picture is taken is taken a good part of the day, and the house is presented very well compared to how it was, where it looks like someone like Jason lives in that house.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So this again, it's just the front porch. Just kind of gives you an idea. So this is the kitchen. So we've got wood paneling. We've got some sort of tile. I think that was tile. There was tile countertops. It's just very dark and dingy, right? Like it's just, yeah, looks like a cave. And then, so we kept this, the same cabinets, replaced all new appliances. We added some new lighting, painted that brick um, on the wall in the kitchen. That really helped brighten it up a lot as well.
And
So,
that's wow, look at them kitchens. No, look at it for real. Like, look at the kitchen. Like
I
this one,
know.
like this looks like a HGTV kitchen. It has different colors. It's bright. You can see everything clear. Then like this one is like, man, it's like, and first of all, it looked like someone took this picture with the smartphone. It's not a very good picture of it all. It looks like it's probably like the far from smartphone of that, like last year's smartphone. It's not clear at all. Maybe it's probably a flip phone because it's not
Yeah,
clear at all.
right.
But but this is what she's talking about. Like, you don't have to spend millions and millions of dollars. So you see what she's done. She repainted this brick here. She kept the good features of the house and repainted it. Took away the appliances, the old white appliances. Nobody wants that anymore. These white
Mm-mm.
appliances, no one wants, even though they still probably better than the ones, the stainless steel ones. I'm telling you, they last a lot longer, but nobody wants the aesthetic look of the appliances. And
Yeah.
and she redid the flooring. Did you put a new countertop in the kitchen?
Yeah, so the countertops were changed out. Kitchen sink was changed out, but everything else remained the same. That was it.
Oh, Sharon. So, yeah, you missed the beginning. So, Sabrina, she flips homes and currently right now in South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina. But the advice that she's giving here is it's based on like how can control your budget while you're doing the flipping, and it's basic things. Lighting, I think, is one of the key things that is kind of the focus of this flip of this house here. Like, there was poor lighting in the first picture, but there's lighting in all the rooms now. You don't feel like you're in a closet. Like, that's why I say Jason lived in this house because he likes the darkness. Like, this is where he wants to live. Like, there's like, what light type of light was in the kitchen before prior? Was it the same hanging light? Like, what type of light was there before? Do you remember?
There was a hanging light, but it was something, it was very old. I mean, it was from the 80s, like straight up
Okay.
so from the 80s. Um, and so we just, yeah, it's amazing what light fixtures will do. It's amazing.
And how much that light cost? You say this light here?
I think that was a little over 100, maybe $150. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy.
So $150, and they're able to like kind of transform that room. One
Mhm.
thing I would say, like the kitchen cabinets, are the original cabinets there? Like, how did you finish it to refinish those?
Yeah, so those are the original cabinets. I didn't actually get to do what I wanted to do with those cabinets. I wanted to sand them and restain them.
Yep.
But I still wanted to keep them because they're solid wood and you just, again, that's just my preference.
Yeah.
I they're solid, you
Yeah.
can't find anything like that anymore. Um Oh, you were just in Myrtle Beach. I bet you had a good time. That's cool. That's cool. Um, so yeah, I just it was that was one of the things that was important to me was to try to keep as much of the character as possible. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if I walked in this house, I would have thought like, everything's kind of new here. It just looks so fresh compared to the other picture that that we had before. I actually want to
Yeah.
go back to the other one before. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. So, this is, just the living room. This was the before, um, and this is after.
After.
So we added more lighting, changed out the light fixture. Um, the flooring made a difference, and, just kind of, even just staging. I kinda wanna touch on staging here. Not much changed in this particular room, right? But, like, the staging of it helps tremendously. When people can, if you can take more like modern things and put it in an old house, it's amazing what it does to the atmosphere. It's just a cozy environment. And so I think being selective on what you put in there, it needs to be bright, especially in this particular house with the wood paneling. You needed to go bright with,
Yeah.
lighter things to help brighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, I would say most time people take out wood panel. That's the first thing they do. Get them damn panels out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this you made it fit into a modern form of what it can be. Like you don't have to take everything down. Like you can still keep like the kind of original kind of rustic look of the house.
Mhm. Yeah. And so this is the primary bedroom. Um, this
Oh
is out.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on. There
So,
was a fireplace in the other one too? Oh, you just
oh,
couldn't see
you
it last
didn't get
time.
to see it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
didn't
okay,
get to
okay,
see it,
okay.
but yeah, there was a fireplace in it. And I personally, I'm a weirdo. I love the wood paneling because I hate
Yep.
drywall. I hate drywall. Um, but I don't think you'll ever hear anybody else say something like that. I think I'm the only person in the world.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
yeah, I think so. So this is the loft area. Um, Again, it's dark. It's got like night. I mean, there was tile. This was peel and stick tile from probably
Oh.
the 80s. Yeah. Um,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Now, one thing I wanted to point out that in the previous photo though, is that you see how they took the picture here? Like they
Hmm.
took the picture and captured all the best features in the room. The original photo, like you didn't even know they had a fireplace. You can see a little bit there at the bottom, but they didn't capture the fireplace. Like they
Yeah.
just captured the corner of the room. Like everybody wants to see that. Like everyone wants to see what makes this room special. And what makes this room special is that you have your bedroom, you have a fireplace. It's wintertime. It's cozy. You know, whoever person you're with, like like you have like this atmosphere you can build in this room. You
Yeah.
know, where like now before it's just like, man, is this a shed or this is a bedroom? You don't even know.
You're right. You wouldn't know. It does. It looks like a shed. You'd never know that there was a fireplace in there.
And
Yeah.
look how simple change. Like you have their standard fan with the fan with the light here. Then like look at this light here. You know.
Yeah.
Now how
Yeah.
much does this light cost to fix?
I think that was like $100. Yeah.
$100 too. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it can completely change the room complexity of the room.
Yep. And yeah.
And this is the same exact room as this, huh? It's just like
It
night
is a
and day
different, yeah, it's a different angle, but it is night
angle.
and day. Yeah. Um,
Did you take away one of the doors here? Because I'm trying to see. There's two doors here.
yeah, so this is actually from a different angle.
Okay, okay,
And it's on this, you're like, yeah, it's just a different angle. So
okay.
yeah, this house, there was nothing modified. Like there was no, like, um, nothing. Well, okay, here's the only thing that was done to this house. So here's the hall bathroom upstairs. You see where the toilet is. That's where you walk into the bathroom. So you have the toilet, and then it was such a weird setup. Then there's the vanity. and then the bathtub. It was just
Well, like when you're married, like, your wife is in the shower, you can talk to them while you're in the toilet, like that, that's what, that's how it is when you get older. Like, you can have a conversation while they're in the shower. I guess that's what they think when they built this bathroom. The contractor probably did not really think about it. It was like, let's put a tub, let's put the sink, let's put the toilet in here, and just move on.
Right. Yeah. I just felt it feels like it wasn't thought through properly. And so like I was saying, like there was no walls taken down, nothing like that. But this is probably the biggest thing that we did to this house. What we did was we switched the pipe, like the toilet, from being over, by the door, um because this is the more standard layout of a bathroom, right? It's shower,
Yeah.
toilet, vanity. Um, so we did do that.
Yeah. And
And
that's something that, like does a house function? Because like I've been to a few flips, and you go through the house, it's like, why is this here? Why is this here? It looks nice, but it doesn't make sense. It's not functional. And like some of these things that you can do to increase value in the home is just that make the house work again. Like, maybe like, possibly move, like, so this is a perfect example here, like moving the toilet and switching the sink. Cause
yeah.
like, maybe a guy won't care, but the woman that's making a decision on the house, because they're the one who's going to purchase the house. They're going to tell you what to do, what they want. They're going to be like, nah, I can't buy this bathroom. The toilet's here. You go in the house, like open the door, you're gonna smell the toilet. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's wonky, right? Like it
Yeah,
just doesn't
yeah,
make any sense. So, and that was probably one of the bigger things that I think we did to this particular house. I can't remember right off the bat, but I think yeah, that was the most dramatic change. It was really cool, definitely well worth it. And we knew that going into it, right? Like we saw
yeah.
that bathroom and we knew that's what we were going to be doing. And I think that's all the photos that I had of the before and after for this one. Yeah, that was a fun one. That was a lot of fun to do. It was
So
cool.
like in terms of this project, like I don't know if you want to give the numbers, like how much do you think total did it cost you to go from Jason's house into like a modern feel house that's welcoming, opening, and there's no killers inside?
It's so hard to. That's a hard one. So I bought it from an investor,
Okay.
and he had already done a few things for me so that I could live there and
Yeah.
fix it up. So like I couldn't live in there without a new roof. Like it had to.
Yeah.
So that was he did the painting on the exterior of the house. So it's hard to really kind of pinpoint how much it was.
Okay.
So that was just a unique situation.
So
So
let's put, just kind of guess. So the roof, I would say like that looks like a kind of I would say that's probably between up here, that roof like that would probably cost between like 12 to like maybe $17,000, I would say, depending, probably like more like 15, $17,000 for that type of roof. Then painting, depending who you have it done, you could probably range between like $5,000, I would say, to paint the whole house. Five, maybe seven on the
yeah.
higher end, maybe even more. It depends on the painter they use. If you kind of use lower end painter, so that'll be about now. I'll say between like 20 to like 25 grand for that portion there. Now, what do you say like inside the home, the fixes, in terms of like kind of generally what did it cost?
I think I really so this particular one I would say um it was probably maybe 10 grand, I would
10
say.
grand.
Yeah, it wasn't anything dramatic. I think the countertops were one of the bigger things. And again, that was actually falls into what the investor did prior to me moving in.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it wasn't, yeah, I would say it wasn't anything crazy. So this house recently went on market and I have had great feedback about it. I've had so many people tell me, "Oh my gosh, it's such a cute house. It's really cool. It's just so different. It's very unique." And so to me, that's the kind of like the fascinating thing was that didn't go in there thinking, okay, this is going to be an entire gut job because the
Yep.
wood paneling that would scare most people. And it didn't for me. So this one's kind of been like, this one was fun. This one was a lot of fun.
Okay, so this house is already contingent for sale.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's already has they already have a buyers lined up for it. You know,
Yeah.
that's what you want. You know, like you when you flip a house, you want you know to get someone to quickly put on the market and get it quickly sold. And one thing like people understand, like this an investor had this house. An
Hmm.
investor had this house, and look how they presented it. Like look how they presented it here.
Yeah.
Now, as an investor, like they were selling like this. Like, how much money did they lose by presenting this house like that? How would you say, like, how much thousands of dollars did they lose but not preparing the house and preparing properly for selling?
Lots. A lot. Yeah. Yeah. Even just cleaning that house up. Say you didn't want to do, any exterior paint, like you didn't want to put any money into
Yeah.
it. Just cleaning it alone and staging it would have, done wonders for it, to be honest with you. Yeah. Those two
So
things alone are so important when you're ready to sell.
yeah, so it kind of shows like two different types of way of doing kind of flip. Some people just buy and quickly fix a couple of things and sell and just take what they
Mhm.
can. No, that's kind of like acting more like a wholesaler, I would say, and not really a fix and flipper.
Yeah.
And now what Sabrina does is kind of more, I would say, more unique. Like she takes what's the best features of the house and uses it in terms of enhancing it. Where like some other flippers they might just do like they complete gut, put their standard kitchen, standard bathroom into the house and just put the standard flooring, and just put it for sale because that's what they do for all the houses that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so there's options. I mean, some people are going to be, swayed more to one side or the other. It's just all in what, being creative and what works for you. Yeah.
And so, you know, this was a good example of how, like, you can spend some money and not kind of blow the bank in terms of doing the flip. But the biggest thing that you brought up is that you have to have a plan. You can't go into it just like you don't want to over plan, but you also don't want to not have a type of plan. Like think about like how you're going to do it. How would you structure it? Like what's your vision of the property? And a lot of times, like like if you don't have the artistic feel, you have to reach out to people that do. Reach
Yes.
out to stagers that might be able to stage a home for you. In addition to have like a realtor that has that mind, like it has that look and feel to properly prepare a home for sale. And like those people are out there, and it's a nominal fee they can pay for and get that service.
Right. Absolutely. There's people out there that can help you. There isn't just one way to do something, right?
Yeah.
There's different ways to get to the end result. Just utilize them. That's it. Yeah. And plan and roll with the punches. Because if you get into flipping, you're going to have to roll with the punches.
And
So,
we have one question here. Did you use your own money or you use other people's money?
my own money. I use my own money. Yeah.
All right.
That's why I'm a little more prone to trying to keep the original character of the house. Because it's well, I love doing it anyways, but it's also easier money wise. So,
No, that's a good question though, because like
yeah.
it's a popular to use other people's money, and it makes sense to use other people's money, but that is always taken at a cost,
Yeah.
interest, fees. Yeah, you can't forget the fine print. You sign this paperwork, don't realize that like you have to pay that money back. In addition, on top of it, you have to give a little bit extra on top. So if you can use your own money, use your own money, but like I said, you can always use private financing. You
Yeah.
have brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, different type of people that you can reach out to that might go in with you on the project. People have 401ks. They could borrow against 401ks. May
Mhm.
not advise you that, but that's an option there. Or they have HELOCs. People have
Yes.
HELOCs on their homes that just the equity is sitting there, and you can have agreements with them to do it. Like there's private money available, and sometimes people just have money in the bank, and right now they're getting good interest. They're getting 5% on their money, but interest rates may change, and they might be going back to get 0.5% for their money, which a lot
Yeah.
of times we're getting in the past.
Yeah, and they want to put their money to work so that so they may be more than happy to help out, you know?
Yeah, so you have to look at different ways to get financing. And one thing I always tell people is don't be quiet. Just always, I would say, always tell people what you're doing. You'd be surprised how people want to help you. Tell them like, hey, I'm doing this flip house, this project. Oh, really? Oh, they might know a contractor. They might know somebody that you may know that they may know that be able to help you complete that project. So don't be quiet. Tell everybody you know what you're doing because everybody wants you to succeed
Yeah.
unless they're truly are a hater. Then you get those people out of your circle, get them out of
Yeah.
your life for
Yes,
good. Yeah, but most
absolutely.
time people are truly want you to succeed, and so it's always good to tell people what you're doing.
Yeah.
So Sabrina, I want to really thank you for coming on. You gave us some great insight and showed us a great project and like how you can just flip something on a dime like that. Shows your experience, expertise as a realtor, and also just as a stage or two as a part of your business. So I really thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, even to Sharon say a big thank you with a smile on it. Thank you, Sharon.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sure. If you want to ever contact Sabrina, her number is there. If you can see it, contact her. If you want, you can reach out for me, contact, and give information because she can always give it tips and stuff like that. Because Sharon, he's also a realtor too, and some of the things that he did in her project probably sparked some ideas for her clients or whatever. So
Yeah,
I would say Sabrina's also part of KW. So feel free to reach out to her. She we were a big family, so we always can able to help each other get where we need to go. So have a
absolutely.
good night, Sabrina. You guys, thank for coming in for bedtime real estate. Hope you guys have a good night. Next week, we're going to have our next speaker. We're going to talk about commercial lending.
Mhm. Cool.
So commercial
Cool.
lending. So we're going to go talk about money again and how
Okay.
we can use it to invest in non-residential real estate and more bigger projects, things like that. So yeah, have a good night. And it's been great. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.